Let's Play! Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hate Plus. In the last part, we read more about the relationship between Queen, or rather not yet, Oh Eun-a, and her little sister, whose relationship we learned isn't quite as a sister, and we think there's a little more to it. We don't know if it's coming back. We don't know if Oh Eun-a likes her sister, which is still really weird when you think about it, because even though it's not like physical incest, if someone's raised as a sister, it's still sort of mental incest, which is really weird. And why when people are like, oh, it's okay, it's your cousin, she's not related to you, you could totally tap that, and you're like, no, that's still weird. I'm not saying that situation has happened to me, except that it has. But God, my family's weird. Enough of that, let's go back to reading. Why does it keep exiting back to the menu? We don't need that. Queen Consort. This one's from Oh Eun-a to her little sister. Dear my little sister Miseon, sorry about not coming home at all last night. I spent the night with Ryu. It wasn't in that way though. It's just that we stayed up so late talking. I think it's the most time we've spent together on reflection. Lately I have felt a mixture of anxious and tired. I have felt a mixture of anxious and tired. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's not as though I'm not optimistic. I know what the future has in store and I know everything will work out in the end. But I've dealt with the professor that was giving me hell, and things are back properly on track. But the initial excitement of finding Ryu has worn off, and at the same time the end is nowhere in sight. I wish things weren't so damned complicated. I can't sleep with them now, despite yearning for it. After all, men are wired to desire things differently than we are. It would probably throw me away soon after. Well, it depends on the guy. That I won't argue that much, because that one, it really does depend on the guy. And as much as I want to get laid, it's still weird hearing someone just say that in like this. It's even more important that I ensure my status in the future, by which I of course mean marrying him. Of course, divorce still exists, so if I want to be truly safe, I'd have to have a kid. I think we're still a long ways off from being able to politically justify banning divorce, although it's naturally an end goal. However, I can't marry him now, because it would draw too much attention. So I am stuck as his secret, his private girl, and that makes me feel, well, it doesn't matter how I feel, really. It's worth it in the end. We talked about it at least. That's all that happened. No work, no conspiring, no grand political machinations being designed or brought into practice. Just a brief glimpse of what the future could have in store if we could bring it to life. I sat on his lap and he held me and stroked my hair, and for a brief moment I felt as though I could actually let go. That none of the other bullshit on the ship, that none of my other responsibilities, that nothing at all I needed to be concerned with myself existed, save for him. In that moment, my mind raced thinking about that, thinking about how perfect it would be, thinking about how perfect it would be if that was our future, rather, if that was our ship's future, wishing to an extraordinary extent that this perfection could not only be saved forever, but shared. What are you thinking about? He asked. Ah, just you, I said, touching my chest and smiling at him. I love you. I don't ever want to leave your side. That's awfully precious, he said. You can be really sweet at times for such a scheming mastermind. I don't want to be that, though, I said with a pout, but meaning it utterly sincerely. I just want to be yours. Poor girl, he said, then kissed me repeatedly until it got to the point where it was getting intense, and his hands started to roam places. I wanted him badly, little sister, let me tell you. Don't send this to her! This would destroy her to read. But I'm only telling you this so you know how hard it was to stop him and ensure it didn't go any further. I can't, not before. I trailed off, letting him fill in the blank. Marriage. It wouldn't be right. I'm not just some modern whore. He murmured in agreement. That sounds like something my mother would say, the modern whore thing? Are you talking about your real mother or your adopted mother? Kinda have to clarify. He murmured in agreement, I guess it would be the adopted, because I don't think she remembers her original. He murmured in agreement, seeming pleased enough. But then, to my surprise, I finally got the best response I could have hoped for. I don't remember his exact words, being far too engrossed in the moment, but he promised he would marry me when it was possible. If I'm going to lead the ship back into the traditional ways, I'll have to set an example, won't I? He said. Of course, anyone who really studied history properly would know that even the greatest kings and emperors had as many consorts as they wished, but I didn't say anything of that. Nor did it even come to my mind at the time, nor do I still think that it's important now, particularly. You mean, I'll get to be your queen? I asked, with excitement in my voice, and it honestly wasn't acting or me picking my words carefully or any form of insincerity. Well, it can't be now. It would seem suspicious, and I don't have enough power for it to not matter. You would have to understand. All of a sudden, I got the picture of a freaking Awada in my head going, please understand. But that's regardless. And of course, I did, seeing as I was the one who suggested that to him in the first place. But you will, I promise. A promise is enough to ensure my safety. I cannot give in to what I always wanted from him those years ago. I can't run the risk of him throwing me away if he no longer thinks of me as pure and virgin, and if our plans in the future do not work out, I'll need to be his queen to ensure my status. When I put it all into words, it's such a cold way of thinking of things, though. In that moment, all I was thinking about was him. I didn't want the weight of running a university on my shoulders. I don't want to have to work to save the ship from the immorality and instability of modern society. I don't want to dedicate myself to a vicious world of politics and professionalism. All I want to do is spend my nights dedicating myself to that one man. I don't want to have to worry about anything, save for being a good woman. I don't want to have to worry about the scrutiny from suspicious meddlers, or anyone else's opinion for me save his. I don't want to have to assure both of you, as well as myself, that the future is worth being optimistic about. I just want to be there. I had a glimpse of that future last night. He promised me that he would make me more than just his lover, better than a co-conspirator. He actually committed to making me his queen, little sister. I want that future to be now. Then everything will be perfect, forever. I'll be the consort of the man who's ensured the Mugunghwa's decline will be rectified, and my reward will be a life full of nights as perfect as the last, instead of them being so frustratingly rare. Sorry I didn't come home last night. I'm sure you understand. With love, Big Sister Eun-a. Huh. Interesting. I'm starting to think, is the reason that she's like this is just because she wants to be the traditional wife, but she doesn't want to be, like, caught by the scrutiny of others for not being a modern woman? So she wants to make the modern woman, like, not the traditional wife sort of the norm. Huh, interesting. I mean, I'm still against her. I'm still against what she's talking about, but at the same time, I sort of understand. You know, if you want to be a different person than the norm of the society, it will always be met with scrutiny from everybody. You know, it's like if you're not the traditional... Well, not really traditional, though, because traditional isn't the norm anymore. I don't know. Let's continue reading with the memorial speech draft, written by Park Sing-jung, who we actually can't click. Oh, this is Seo Young's husband. Hi, I'm Park Jin-sung. If you don't know who I am, I'm the student representative, and in Professor Kim's absence, now acting president of the Academics Against Neo-Confucianism, Confucianization, yep, that's right. That's a big word, especially adding neo on the front. I like to think we are close, but truthfully, I didn't know Professor Kim very well. Who was Professor Kim again? It was Hyo Seung's husband, so they had a daughter together. They had a daughter, So-hee, together. Seemed to be in close relationship with the house's maids, but then disappeared under circumstances. Alright. I like to think we were close, but truthfully, I didn't know Professor Kim very well. I've only been a student for a mere 5 years in my entire adult lifetime, but for him, the time I knew him was a flash in the pan, a mere fraction of a 3-decade-long academic career. I can say, however, the time in which I knew him was a time that he considered to be the most pivotal in his life, the founding of the AANC. He was the last holdout professor to teach classes exclusively using Korean script over Chinese script. His specialty was in Earth history, and where nobody else did, he recognized the Mugunghwa University President Oh Eun-a's program of promoting Neo-Confucian classics for what it is, a retrograde ideology with a myriad problematic aspects, not least of all involving the intersectionality of classism and sexism. He was one of the smartest people I've ever known, both a mentor and a father figure to me. I don't know why, but he saw a lot in me, and I've struggled immensely to live up to his expectations. No doubt he would be disappointed in what I'm about to do, and it pains me to say this. As of today, Academics Against Neo-Confucianism will be officially disbanded. Professor Kim was an extraordinary and stubborn man who had the determination and charisma to fight to the end. He was unique in that regard, a pinnacle above the others. Nobody could possibly fill his shoes. Without him, AANC didn't have the leadership or the clout to keep going on. In the past 2 months, I've tried my hardest, but the sad reality of the matter is, I have let him down, and cannot take the role of that extraordinary man. With nobody else willing or able to step up to that role, I'm afraid there's no point in going on. To everyone who believed in me, I'm sorry. To everyone who believed in Professor Kim, I'm especially sorry. This is my failure, not his. I will, however, thank the university for graciously deciding, despite their disagreements, to dedicate this auditorium in memorial of him. I ask you not to remember him by what has happened to the AANC in his absence, but to remember him for his willingness to fight for what he believed in, for his brilliance and compassion, for all the scholarship he contributed on the subject he loved, for his ability to inspire anyone to understand the importance of studying history. I'll end on this note. One day, while I was having the absolute misery of a time with some adolescent relationship problem, I confided in him, rambling for 2 hours about how I didn't know what to do and could he offer me any advice. He listened to it all, very patiently, and when I was done, he was silent as he thought about it for a good while. Finally he said to me, "Here's the most important thing, Mr. Park. For fuck's sake, it's not always about being clever. You have to be decent to her." For fuck's sake, it's not always about being clever. You have to be decent. It's easy to be angry, to cast blame, to be spiteful. But I hope, if there's any way I can redeem myself in his eyes and live up to the standard he's set, it's making sure his legacy is inspiring people to be critical, to be curious, but to above all else, be decent. You have to be decent. Thank you. That was a good speech. I enjoyed that. So we have to go extract some more files now. And sorry, we're going to disable you just for a wee second. Which one shall we grab today? We got, oh right, because we can get any of the other data. Can't get the bitmap data yet. Dictionary translation from ZH to Korean. I don't know what ZH is. Bitmap data for the uniform, the hair charms. Text data. Ooh, the video data I want to see. There's one called the Pale Bride. Oh, that's got to be interesting. But, how long have we been going for? 13 minutes? I think, yeah, I'll call it a part for this part. But, guys, next time we will continue reading more stuff about, everything that's going on in the ship, starting with the Unity Act. It's gonna be very interesting. So, I will see you guys next time. Ciao.